Cold brew is simple, but the filtering can be a messy pain in the ass. Let's cook up a batch using the popular mason jar method, and I'll show you the trick that I use at the end to filter out a strong caffeinated nectar. Before we start brewing, let's quickly cover what you'll need. For the mason jar method, you have options, but you'll need either a 32 ounce or a 64 ounce wide mouth jar. We'll make one recipe in each today, and the wide mouth jars make cleaning easier, so I avoid brewing in the regular mouth jars. I use the traditional wide lids and rings with these jars. A canning funnel is helpful and super cheap. The Klein cold brew kit is also pretty inexpensive. Klein sent me this one for a sponsored Instagram post, and it can save you some hassle when cleaning the wide mouth jars. Finally, you'll need coarsely ground coffee. I use the Baratza Encore because an electric burr grinder makes quick work of a lot of coffee. The range of settings is good for both cold brew and the Chemex cup that I brew hot daily. We're using some beans that are past their prime freshness for brewing hot coffee, and that's okay for cold brew because cold brew is more forgiving. There's a local roaster here that I do some freelance photography for, and they recently sent me several bags in order to take some shots. I couldn't drink it all fresh fast enough, so cold brew it is. As for the ratio, we're going to end up with something close to a 1:8 coffee to water ratio. This might vary depending on how much you can fit if you use the Klein cold brew kit, so if you want to make something stronger, make sure to use the full immersion method without using that kit. Hot coffee comes in at about 1 to 15, so 1 to 8 is perfectly strong to pour directly over ice or to cut with cream or milk. For the 32 ounce jar, we'll use 90 grams of coffee and 720 grams of water. And for the 64 ounce jar, we'll use 150 grams of coffee and 1250 grams of water. I grind on the Baratza Encore on a coarse setting of 35. Immerse your coffee in your jar using either method. In the big jar, my traditional lid goes right on, but when using the cold brew kit, I try to apply the rubber gasket around the lid before screwing on the lid tightly. Sometimes it's too finicky to get that gasket on with a fresh lid, so just make sure you really screw it on tight. Throughout that duration, as I'm in and out of the fridge for other food, I give them a quick shake here and there to make sure all the grounds are thoroughly immersed. Finally, once that time has passed, we break out our secret weapon for clean, fast filtering. These filter cones are only like $10, but they allow your coffee slurry to filter quickly and more cleanly than other methods. I don't mind a little fine sediment in a hot cup if I'm using an Aeropress, but I like my cold brew to be smooth and filtered through paper. Use any number 6 filter, pop it in the cone, and use 2 pours to filter your coffee through. If you're not using the kit, I try to leave the ground coffee behind in the jar so that I can shake it into the trash later. The kit comes right out and you can place it in the sink to drip while your coffee filters. Finally, I funnel this coffee into a swing top and I've got strong cold brew coffee immediately ready to throw over ice for those summer afternoons, short weekend trips, or any morning where I don't have the patience to go through the more involved Chemex process.